Before Juliet, there was Rosalind. Romeo enters the play as a classic melancholic youth. He's obsessed with the image of love rather than the actual person. Let's analyze his black bile and his Petrarchan posturing.
And I think where we start to see a totally different side to this play is perhaps a little bit with Montague, but most or not with Montague, Benvolio, but mostly with the Romeo entrance. Now this reminds me a lot of Hamlet, and it may you too. Obviously Hamlet's after, but we have the introduction to Romeo, who is sort of in love with Rosalind. Right now, this is kind of weird, and I was thinking in a lot of productions or movie versions, they just cut out the Rosalind thing because, well, not a lot of them, but they have cut out the Rosalind thing because we tend to think of Romeo and Juliet as the story of the most beautiful of love that ever happened, right? But Shakespeare's making a strong point right at the beginning that Romeo is the type that's always falling in love. He's obsessed with this woman Rosalind, who's there's the typical thing. You have it all through Don Quixote and all through Ovid's Metamorphosis, which is one of Shakespeare's favorite texts, as translated by Golding. The woman who spurns the love of men. She doesn't want to get married, right? Which is like the most disastrous thing to a patriarchal society and young horny men, right? This woman doesn't want to get married. She pledges herself to Diana of the Huntress, who lives with her virgins, right? You probably know she lives a celibate life, and if someone happens to see her bathing like poor Actaeon does, as Ovid describes, then she'll sick Actaeon's dogs on him and rip him to pieces. So Romeo he's got melancholy, and there's four humors, so he's got an excess of black bile, as it were, and he's Shakespeare loved melancholy, so did a lot of writers of Shakespeare's day. The idea of the melancholic youth who can't get over his love, right? It's partly the troubadour tradition, it's all through Petrarch, it's all in a lot of Shakespeare's sonnets. Youth that believes that there's no love like their love. Their love is so pure, and yet it's incredibly, in some ways, superficial. And so he's fallen in love with Rosalind's image. Good morrow, cousin, is the day so young, but new struck 9. Ay me, sad hours seem long. He's got all these very kind of melancholic lines. Alas, that love, whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. And there's the rhyming that always happens in early Shakespeare. But rhyming verse, in some ways, has a sense of neatness and closure to it when a character often rhymes. Shakespeare later uses it in his plays to end scenes, to give the scene closure. But it also has a quality of being a pithy saying, right? So usually he'll rhyme when it's a complete idea in itself and it doesn't really need to go on, right? However, there's a lot of rhyming in Romeo and Juliet, so that rule doesn't always apply. He introduces this idea right at the beginning of what fray was here, yet tell me not, for I've heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why, then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first create, O heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos, and well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep, that is not what it is. Romeo is obsessed with things that seem their contraries because he's stuck in these antinomies of being desperately in love, feeling the eros, but not having, but feeling unrequited in some ways.
Romeo's love for Rosalind is purely superficial and essentially linguistic. It takes the reality of a Juliet to break him out of this misshapen chaos of rhymes and into true tragedy.